All right. So hi everyone, and welcome to the Math 151 Pre-Calculus. I will be your instructor for this whole semester, and my name is Dr. Song Chen. My specialty lies in data science, applied math, and scientific computing. So my interest lies in how to apply mathematics in real-life problem. So if you have any questions regarding or any interest in regarding data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, or any engineering problems using mathematics, I'm a person you can talk to. Now here are some of my interests. The first one is going to be my LinkedIn profile. Feel free to connect with me. And there is some introductions to the data science group where we conduct research with students to solve real-life machine learning or data science problems. So check them out. Especially, you can check the sample projects we have done before, and try to see if there's anything that interests you and you would like to hear more. Feel free to talk with me. The third thing is actually a podcast I personally hold, and I basically interview professors from UWL and to talk about their research interests. So if you know any professors that you would like to hear them to talk about something that they are doing, let me know, send me an email, and I will try to arrange that. It's going to be a little bit challenging during the pandemic, but I will put that thing on my to-do list. Here are my interests, and the best way to contact me is actually through email. I will not be on campus for the whole semester, so do not try to drop by at my office. You will not find me there. Okay. So for this course, the format is going to be online asynchronous, which means you are going to do everything at your own pace, at your own convenience. You do not have to show up at a fixed time except for the online discussion. The majority of your job will be learning everything by watching the videos online. I posted the link here with every single sections. Okay, and you can actually scroll down to the right to see different section names, so you can actually jump to any kind of videos. You can also find a link of this lecture videos at course content. And by the way, you can also find a copy of this syllabus on the course content under Canvas. So you will also find all the notes I do during the lectures, and I basically put a copy here, so you can find all of them according to the section names. One big challenge thing for taking online classes is actually you need to debate, do I want to take notes or not? So at least I've offered my notes here for you as a reference, and do you take notes or not really depends on your personal preference. Personally, I think when I take online classes, I take notes, because taking notes as the teacher go over it will give me some thing to rely on so I can think through the process. Otherwise, I just listen to people, and sometimes I just, my mind is just floating away. I'm not focusing on what he's talking about. So taking notes can be really good. But as online feature, I don't leave much room to take reactions from people or questions from people, or wait until people take notes, as I usually do during offline instructions. But keep in mind, you can always control the video lecture yourself. So if there's anything that you feel like I would like to take the notes, but the teacher is really rushing through, so what you can do is you can just simply pause the video and just take notes, and then restart the video, or even rewatch the video as the lecture goes. Another big thing about online lecturing is that it's really discouraging or boring to take all the classes on your own. It's really nice if you could surround yourself by your peers, by your roommates. So if you could talk to your peers, if you can fix the time to do homeworks together, you're more than encouraged to do so. If you live together, of course, help each other. So just to try to make sure that you do your best to keep yourself in a community, to still feel like you are part of something bigger, part of a group who are studying the same thing. Okay? So you can receive encouragement from other people. Encouragement. Of course, to make that happen uniformly, also we actually conducted something called online discussion. It's going to be happening online every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. And what I would do there is actually I will first answer questions from the lectures and homeworks. So do the homework ahead of time, and do the modeling problems ahead of time. And also, if you have any questions from the lectures, say, Dr. Chen, can you give more examples on this particular topic? I'm more than happy to do so. Also, you can request additional contents for me to go over. For example, you can say, hey, there's something that I'm still kind of shaky on, which is in section 4.1 on something. I can go over more examples. I can even give you more lectures to give you, a different way to understand the same thing. And sometimes you can say, well, this is basically not covered in the class, but I would like to know more I would like to do more extensions about this kind of topic, and certainly I can do that also. So that will be what we would do during the online discussions regularly every week. We want to be together to see each other, to get involved, and also we want to go over additional contents as your requests. And also I require everybody to be there on time, which means please show up at 6 o'clock. Okay, do not show up at 7 and say, well, it's still within the 6 to 8 spot. But sometimes if we have an easy week that not many questions are asked, maybe we can finish early. Say like we start from 6, we finish at 6:30, and most people left, nobody is left. Then what I would do is I would just simply quit, right? Because everybody's gone. But then if you show up at 7 and figure out that nobody's here, it's not that we're not there, it's that actually that it's finished for that day because everybody left early. So if you show up, please be there on time. Okay, it's not required, but because it may not work for every single person for that time, but I do think it should be mandatory because you just want to keep involved. You don't want to study alone. Virtual office hours is just like regular office hours. Just do it by appointment. I have a pretty flexible schedule during the spring because of the online asynchronous format. So if you figured maybe this is now sometime that Dr. Chen can meet, but just try me. Okay, so for all the online discussions where we have a group meeting and also individual meeting, actually, we will be conducting it using Zoom. So try to install it before the first online discussion and try to play with it and try to see, do you know how to join these kind of meetings? Most of the communications will be online, actually every single one of them, but most of them will be posted on Canvas. So check your emails and Canvas post regularly for class announcements. We do have a textbook. It's pretty heavy, and we're not going to use it for lectures, but every lecture content is based on the section order and contents in that book. So you can read it as a complementary material. Meanwhile, all the textbook homework problems will be coming from this book, which you will see a list in the end of the syllabus here. Okay, learning outcomes, course descriptions. We will see that as we do more lectures. You will see what we mean here, and basically that's the goal of that's the skill you're aiming to get for this class. For grading policies, we basically have three major parts: the web work, the modeling problems, and also the exams. Okay, for web work, we will be using an online homework system called web work. For the first time logging in, you just use your name. So for example, my name is Song Chen. I will use my first name and my last name with both capital letter for the first letter, and then I connect them with a lower dash. This will be my username for the first time I log in. Use your name here, of course. And then the password for the first time is also going to be the same thing. So if you use the username like this, you use your username as this also for your password. Okay. After you log in for the first time, then remember to change your password to whatever you want. Okay, so that would be how we do this. Alright, so now after you log in, you will see a detailed list of all the questions listed for each section, and what you need to do is complete the corresponding homework before the due date, okay, for that corresponding week. Every single web work will be due on Saturday, 11:59. Okay, so for example, if you click in this, you will have several problems for you to finish, and if you click any single one of them, basically what you need to do is do all your work on the paper, and eventually once you get the answer, just type the answer in. Okay, I set everything to be unlimited attempts. So if you just check your answer, and it tells you it's not correct, you can actually go back and try to tweak your work and try to get another number and try it again. So you can keep trying until you get the right answer. So if you really care about your grade, ideally, hypothetically, you can actually get 100% as long as you care about this, because you can have so many tries. Okay. So we also have textbook problems. These are supplementary. Okay, web work is already a very good resource to test your skills. But if you feel like after I do web work, or maybe even during I'm doing my web work, I find I'm always stuck on a certain kind of topic, well, I need more practice. That's when you go to the textbook problems. Okay. From here you can see I listed a lot of problems for you to do, but you should not do all of them. You should only take this part that corresponding to the topic you want to practice, and practice until you feel like it's enough. Okay, so don't try them all, but do them as you need it, and they will not be graded. But I'm more than happy to answer questions if you have this. You can bring it to online class discussion. Even though it's not graded, I'm more than happy to answer the questions you have from here. Also, if you're looking for a deep understanding of, not just the basics, you want to go beyond, you want to shoot for an A grade, you want to really understand everything, try the ones that are with a bigger index, because those are usually the challenging problems. They're harder, considered to be harder or more advanced than the basic ones you see at the beginning. The first several questions is almost like a warm-up. It's not even serious. Okay, so that's my recommendation of web work. We will have modeling problems, and we will have a separate instruction on that. A big challenge for doing mathematics is that you just get so involved in all the mathematical content, you almost forget what you're doing in real life. It's like, yeah, I like doing algebra, I like doing linear lines, I like doing exponential functions, but wait a second, why am I learning it? Other than, I'm learning it for mathematics' sake. That is because you are going to use it in real life. But we do not have a lot of time in class to go over practice problems in real life. So that's why I assigned all the modeling problems from the book. And I know it's a lot of problem, but it's really helpful for you to see it and try to reflect how are you going to apply whatever you learn in this class into a real life scenario. How do you apply a compound interest to your student loan? How do you apply trigonometry when you build a house? Things like that. So they're going to be a little bit more challenging. There will be a lot of problems, and therefore I will ask you to work in groups. And every single group will be 3 or 4 person. You have already been assigned to a group before this class. Okay, so make sure you contact your group members. And then spread the load. So for example, if you have 12 questions, it's very reasonable for everybody to do 4, and finally you paste them all together and submit together. For every single group, I only need you to submit 1 copy of your work. So you do not have to give me 3 same copies. You just submit once. And then I will assign grade to that project. Basically everybody in the group will share the same grade. Okay. Basically the key is to let you see a lot of applications and to work through some harder problems. I will not grade them too hard. So as long as you have all the necessary work, you are probably going to receive a full grade. Okay, these are the instructions. Make sure that you write structured solutions in a clean format. Write it as a report. Don't just, send your scratch work. Make it formal. And also your work should be printed together in order and submitted by one person. Just to clarify that, I put this one here to avoid the following cases. That is, maybe you have 3 person. Okay, you have number 1 to number 12. You let the first person to do for some reason, you let the first person to do number 1, number 7, and number 10. Okay, and number 12. So you scramble the order, and finally when you put them together, you just simply send me 3 copies. The first one, the second one, and third one are in random order. I do want you to put them all together in the same format, and make sure that you go number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So if you have done everything in a scramble order, make sure that you do a final copy and put all your work on the same sheet in a nice format before you submit everything. Okay. So once you finish it, you submit it to PDF or JPG. You can take a picture, you can scan it, whatever. And finally, you are encouraged to use any resource to complete the problems. So feel free to use a calculator. Feel free to go online and search for answers. Okay. You will not be considered cheating in the problem as long as you do not just copy and paste. Okay. If you just read some other people's solution, you find it's great, you digest it, you actually redo the work by yourself, it's also fine. Okay. For the worst case, if there's anything that you just need to cite other people, make sure you cite it instead of copy it. Okay, and give me where you cite, give me the reference in the end, and that will be fine. That will be the modeling problems. Originally, I had weekly quizzes for offline instructions. For online, we don't have the bandwidth to grade it. But if you want to practice to see how well you have mastered all the content so far, I posted all the quizzes on Canvas, which you can see here. Okay, you have 10 quizzes, each one corresponding to a certain section. So make sure you do them to test your skills once you finish all the web work and homework. For exams, we do have 4 exams. Every single one will be during the online discussion session, so we don't have to remember another date. It's going to be Thursday from 6 to 7 in the following dates. These are the sections they will be covering. Okay, and the final exam will be here. We will talk later on how do we actually take the exams, okay, while we are doing everything online. But that will be the date. Okay, my grading policy of your work, since for web work, when I grade, I will only see your answer. It's automatically graded. So the only thing I will be grading will be your exam. And I want to say very clearly that what I expect from your exams. Number one, I want the accuracy of results. That means your number should be correct. If the final answer is going to be 15 and you answer 16, you're supposed to lose points. Not all of them though, because you receive partial credits for your steps. Number two, I do grade everything on your writing style. You lose points if your writing is bad. For example, you skip some of the steps, and it's really difficult for me to tell, did you just skip it because you're so good that everything is just so quick in your mind, or did you skip it because you don't know how to write things down? If I need to guess between these two, I will always go with the latter, okay, and minus your points. Okay, sometimes you write solutions, you just put them somewhere at the corner and you don't circle them, and you say, well, I got the right solution, even though it's actually here. If I don't read them from left to the right and from top to the bottom, usually I will assume that the one on the bottom is going to be the last answer, but you say, actually, my answer is actually on the top, to the right. If you write things in that way, I will actually suspect that you're guessing. You're not sure that's the right solution, so you just put it there. And then if it happened to be the right solution, you say, well, actually, what I mean is actually here. Okay? Make sure that you put your writing in a nice format. Don't do this kind of things. Don't just put scratch work there. Okay? You have your scratch work for your scratch paper. Don't put them on the formal solutions. And sometimes you write confusion, ambiguous statements. I actually got a student taught me this trick. That is, there is a way to write a letter, so it's really difficult for you to tell as if it's true or false. So you can interpret it either way. Okay, do not write things like that. Okay, write everything clearly. Make clear, precise statements in that way. If you still feel like you don't get a hang of how to write the solutions, see my lecture notes. Okay, my lecture notes will be a perfect example for you to see how to write things in a nice order. Okay, to make sure that everybody can understand what you're writing. Finally, of course, we have attention to details. Sometimes you just need to say, hey, the definition is this, except for a equals 0. And you miss that except part, you are going to lose points, because everything about mathematics is about being precise. So attention to details are really important. Okay? All right. So finally, makeups. Homework cannot be made up. An exam can only be made up if there is a university excuse, and you need to notify me at least 1 day before the exams. So everything I put here is just pretty strict terms, but really, like, you just need to be, considerate. Like, if you're going to, let's say, go back to your home and you do not have good internet during a weekend, and you cannot do the web work during that time, then first thing, I would recommend you to do it before you go. But second, if there's some emergency, you just didn't expect the internet is going down, just send me an email afterwards and say, hey, Dr. Chen, I'm sorry I didn't complete the thing before the time, but here's my reason. As long as it's reasonable, of course, we won't care too much about, a 1 or 2 day delay on those kind of things. For exams, however, we better be careful because everything is shared online. It's going to be really difficult for me to coordinate every exams if somebody takes it earlier or after. Okay, so we need to talk about the details if you need to reschedule an exam. Okay, general instructions for online classroom. Please go over this online readiness tutorial. Basically, it's just common sense. Like, you need to have a certain kind of manners when you do online. You respect people, you don't curse, and it's just common sense. But if you want to be careful, read it. The weekly checklist. So as for every week, basically what you need to do are the following things. You are going to watch the video lectures and read the notes at your own pace. You will complete the web work and practice the textbook problem if necessary. You will collect the questions and attend the online discussions, submit the modeling problems if any, and prepare the exams. Okay. You may submit multiple things for a week, but keep in mind every single thing will be due the same time, which is 11:59 p.m. on Saturday for every single week. Okay. And here is a detailed discussion list about what sections are due. Okay. So do the video lectures for these sections for week 1. complete those kind of works for week 1, week 2, and so on, such. Okay, that will be all we have for the work every week. For online discussions, just install Zoom before you try it, before we have the first section, so try it. And also, to maintain a better flow of conversation, it's really difficult for me to actually answer questions if everybody is saying at the same time online. So I would require you to raise your hand and wait for me to call your name before you say your question. So we do things in orders. Also, when I say raise your hand, it's not literally just raise your hand on the video, because it's really hard for me to track 30 people, okay, on the videos and see who raised their hand. But we do have a button in Zoom, which we will practice the first time we do online discussion. And that is what I mean by raise your hand. Basically, you click a button, so I see, okay, somebody has a question. All exams will be taken at your pace during a specific time. 1 to 4 takes 16 minutes, and the final exam takes 120 minutes. You have all the schedules here, of course. So for each exam, this is how we're going to do. Number 1, during the exam, before the exam, I will actually send you the exam 5 minutes ahead. Okay, so the exams start from 6 to 7, right? So you will receive the exam sheet by 5:55 on that day. Okay, then you were given an hour to finish it until 7 o'clock. Okay. Then after that, I will give you another 10 minutes to convert whatever you did with the exam on paper to a digital copy and submit it online. So that's the format. Some details. Number 1, the online discussion room. The Zoom link will be open for you to join and ask any questions at any time during the exam. Second, you are required to complete all the exam questions, but you do not have to print the thing out because not everybody has a printer at their home. But what you can do is just simply write on paper, and you don't have to copy the exam questions either. You just write down, okay, this is number 1, question A, and here's my answer. Just as a regular exam on your own paper, and do it. Okay. When you finish at 7 o'clock, you should convert your answer sheet to a digital format. You can take a picture, you can scan it, and make sure that it's a JPG or PDF form. Try ahead of time, especially during your modeling problems, because that you will also submit that thing online and convert them into digital copies, right? So try that, and then when you finish, upload them to the corresponding Canvas submission before it's due. Okay. The due time will always be 10 minutes after the exam is over. So if it's done by 7, you are required to submit everything before 7:10. Alright, so that will be how we do this. Technology for study, use any kind of things you want, but for exams, no calculators or softwares is allowed. I will ask you to draw some graphs. Do not use a graphing calculator. So I want you to do that in your mind. And also, I will only give you easy numbers, so do not use a calculator. Do not take a shortcut. Okay, if the answer should be square root of 2, just leave it. But if you start to actually say the answer is going to be 1.414, I will suspect, how did you get that? How did you know that square root of 2 is going to be 1.414? I will suspect you use a calculator. Do not do that. Okay. Just put things here in case I change something later. Read some of the policies which concerns you. Get the info from the link here, and you have a lot of infos you can process. And also for concerns and complaints, follow this link here. Okay, and finally we have the list of the textbook problems that you may want to check out as we finish more and more sections. Okay, so that's basically an overview of this class. Usually I give rooms for people to answer questions for the syllabus, but this is an online session, so feel free to send me any questions you have through email. Basically, there is one big principle, that is, anything happening in this class, and you have some questions, you're not familiar with online format, you got stuck with some tech issues like your internet is down, or you cannot download a certain thing, you cannot see the lectures, or maybe you just have some personal issues that you need accommodation. For all kinds of questions and issues, just keep in mind you are not alone. You can always look for help. Go look for help and support from your family, from your peers, from your teammates, from your roommates, and of course from professors, from me, from other professors, and from university office. Any question you have, just look for help. Okay? and we will always be there for you. It's hard for everybody. So any question happen, just let me know, and we will try to find a way to fix it. All right, that will be all for the intro, and see all of you guys on Thursday.